Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I have Heather Stewart from Toronto, and she is a coach and she's a podcaster speaker. She's a yoga teacher and she's a transformation facilitator, creator of the Thriving Life Method. And I love having influencers and thought leaders such as Heather come on the show and talk to the audience. And it's going to be a fantastic discussion. Heather, welcome.
Thanks. It's so awesome to connect and have a chat with you.
Yeah. And what's interesting is journey your background and how you got to be doing what you're doing now.
I know it's an interesting journey. So I went to university the way all good kids are supposed to, and got a degree and got a career. And I was a CPA and doing all checking all my boxes. I had a big house, I had big stock options, I was like management, and I just didn't like it. I didn't really have a clear idea. I just knew that I was in the right place for me. And I quit my job and I sold my house and I got divorced
Mm.
all at the same time
Wow.
because I had gone on this different path, like this whole different idea of the journey that my life was supposed to take. And that's not why I got divorced. There's lots of reasons for those things happen, but
Mm.
that was why I left my career and really needed a reset. So I wanted to go somewhere where I could be out of life. You take yourself out of the situation. So I went to India for 3 months.
Wow.
And yeah, it was fabulous, challenging as heck, but I learned a lot of things while I was there. And I had actually been practicing yoga for a little while before I all this happened, which was I think started that realization that I was in the wrong spot when you start doing yoga or any practice that makes you pay attention to the internal awareness, the internal conversation, tai chi, qigong, meditation, yoga,
Right.
walking, running, any of those things where you're just quiet in with yourself. So when I came back, I went back to school for 2 years to become a registered massage therapist. So here in Canada, it is a big, it's a big commitment to become a massage therapist.
Mm.
And it's a government certified medical practitioner kind of thing.
Yeah.
And opened my own yoga studio and I became a personal trainer. So I was doing all of this wellness because I realized that the lives we lead in general aren't conducive to being really healthy. I tried hard when I was an executive to stay healthy, but it was quite hard when you're working long hours and sitting at a desk. So I was like, I'm going to help people be healthy. And yes, I we can save the world. I'll help people be healthy. And I was doing all of that and it was fabulous. And because of my past, a lot of people that I worked with, all these health and wellness people, are really good at what they do, but they don't have any business sense. So they started asking me for advice. So I started business coaching kind of organically. People would come to me asking me for questions on their taxes, mostly because that's when they start to freak out. And I realized, wow, these people really have no education on how to manage a business. So I started trying to teach them that yes, they could be this holistic wellness person and a business person. They didn't have to be separate. And then in 2021, I had a stroke, which was crazy because I was super healthy, and it wasn't because of any health issues. It was just, any anatomy, I had a tear in an artery that had a blood clot that went
Mm.
to my brain. And I was in the hospital. It was during COVID. There was
Mhm.
no visitors allowed to visit me because I was in the emergency room for 3 days because there was no beds and it was Halloween. So there were some crazy things happening. And I couldn't see properly because it had affected my vision. So I
Mm.
couldn't use my phone because a lot of people, when they're uncomfortable, they'll go to our fallback now is to go to the scroll when we don't want to face something. So I was blessed with a 3 day silent retreat in the
Mm.
hospital
Interesting.
where, yeah, the doctors are looking after me. So I had that part taken care of. And I just at one point went, okay, why am I here exactly? And thankfully, I had a long meditation practice. So I was used to just sitting back and waiting to see what revelations came. And what I realized was I was helping people with business and I was helping people with their physical health, but those are just two little components of this whole life that people have. Because even when I was a massage therapist, which I actually retired after 14 years just recently, people come to you with everything. They might have a tight muscle, but they're coming to you with everything. And people would talk to me while they were on the table. And sometimes I felt like I'm not qualified to answer these questions that they were asking me. So I
Mhm.
said, so I realized while I was there that I needed to expand my practice to help people where they were. So sometimes I call myself a real life coach because I'm like, your real life is happening. And if you want something different, it can't be so jarring that you can't sustain it. So it has to fit your real life. I had to find a way to help people with all of the parts of their life, but not make it so segmented that they couldn't figure out how it worked together. So as I laid there and things were happening, I realized, like, I looked at my own life. So I was physically healthy, even though I had this stroke happening. So I knew my physical health was going to be okay, but it needed some time to recover. My emotional health, I actually felt good, even though it was a strange situation. I actually wasn't worried. I was actually emotionally quite positive, going, I'm going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. There's interesting people here. There's interesting things that I can learn, and I'm okay. My community, so that's another, so I'm giving you the pieces. So your physical health, your emotional health, my community. One of my friends found out from my husband that I couldn't see properly. So she called everyone that we knew and they all sent me voice messages of, we're looking after you, we're thinking about you, we're sending you energy, because they knew that I could use that support and they knew that I couldn't read any of the messages they sent me. So they all sent me voice messages. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what people need. They need some community that's going to support them when they need them. My job, my occupation, I was a yoga teacher, a Tai Chi teacher, I'm a massage therapist, I'm a trainer, I'm doing all of these things. And that was because I'm a solo practitioner. I was like, okay, that one right now I can't do. So I need all the other parts of my life to support me while that piece recovers because I can't do it when I'm in the hospital. And I felt, okay, I sent messages to my clients. I said, this is what's going on. They're like, it's okay. Take care of yourself. Some of them asked if they could buy gift cards because they knew that I wasn't going to earn any money while I was in the hospital. So my God, that's part of community as well. Your financial health, like the money. Some people, if something, if they hit a bump like this in the road, they it can mess them up a lot. But I was like, okay, financially, I'm okay if I can't work for a little while. Like nothing, I'm not going to be homeless, and I'll still have food and shelter and all the things that I need. So I'm like, okay, that's okay. And then the final piece is I call it engagement just because my all these pieces spell the word become and I needed an E. But it's like your spiritual health, your purpose, your bigger reason for being. And I felt like this incident actually connected it to me more. So I'm like, okay, I get it now. I'm supposed to help in a bigger way spread more of the reasoning behind why it's important for you to be complete and whole and love yourself enough to take care of yourself and put yourself first. And it's not selfish. It's not taking away from someone else. It's teaching people that by being 100% as much as you can, you and your happy and healthy self, you can actually do more in the world to help other people. So I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
Mm,
It's like
interesting.
my divine revelation.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And what is really interesting is because I was reading I've been very interested in Eastern just philosophy and practices and how that affects. Because And what was interesting is you mentioned when you went to India was a very challenging. I'm not sure if that was, like, the yogic practice or just the
Just the
mental.
whole environment.
Oh, I see, the chaos, I see, understand. But, well, in I read a book called The Body Keeps a Score, and how does your practice with yoga and tai chi and meditation, what are the common things that you see with stress in the Western world and this lack of balance, this lack of emotional and spiritual? You talk about physically, financially, these are all in check, but emotionally and spiritually, we're bankrupt.
And that is an excellent book, by the way.
Yeah,
And it's interesting. So I think about I've got all the physical practices, but also in the massage practice, I
yeah.
saw it quite a bit where people we value this intellect in North America, especially. We value the intellect quite a bit, and we don't recognize that the body has an intelligence because we can't. We've disconnected intelligence from as it's only a logical intelligence, which is what the brain is good at. The brain is great at logical intelligence, but your body actually sends you messages all of the time.
Mm.
And I saw it like when you were teaching yoga, it's very common for someone in pigeon pose to start crying and they don't know why.
Mm.
And then it upsets them because they're trying to shut it down. And I'm like, you don't
Yeah,
have to shut it down because we do store things in our body. And
yeah.
I saw it. I remember this one incident. I was giving someone a massage and I just moved their shoulder and they suddenly had a very emotional reaction. And they said, I don't know why this is happening. And I'm like, there's something about your shoulder, like it may be a memory that you don't have anymore, like something's connected to the way that I moved the shoulder. And I find that so emotions are not bad or good, they're information. Pain is not bad or good, it's information. It's all feedback. All of the things that your body sends you that we try to say, oh no, and push it away, it's all
Mhm.
just feedback. It's just information for you, but we've forgotten how to listen to it. So I find that when it's happening for people, I'm always trying to encourage them to let it express in whatever way it needs to be. Don't try to. I actually just came back yesterday from Portugal and I
Wow.
was with a friend who I used to work with visiting and she was having a tough time and she kept apologizing. Don't apologize, please. Like, let this out because it needs to express itself. And once it's out, the energy of that is gone, then your body can go back to its homeostasis and be happy and keep moving. But I find that the more we stick it, like you can see people who are like, have their shoulders up around their ears, like that's stress, right? They could release it.
Yeah.
The stress, like as we talked about if it's in your mind, it's going to express in your body. If you can get the body to relax, you can actually get the mind to relax.
Mhm.
Same way, if you're breathing super shallow, you'll feel stressed out. If you can just take a few deep breaths into your belly, it changes the energy of your body, which helps your mind relax. So they can impact each other. It's like a chicken and egg thing, right? The mind might be causing the stress, but the body can teach the mind how to relax.
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah, because I use yoga for cross training because I was avid runner, and then it's amazing. I didn't realize how much tension unconsciously you store in, like, your shoulders and your neck and your hips, and if you don't move those and you don't bring awareness, you're just it just you just like, I see people, like, in their 40s and 50s are very stiff and can't move,
And when
and,
you can't move, you
yeah,
can't breathe. Like
exactly.
I used to run too. That's why I'm like, oh yeah, I know that pain.
Yeah. Yeah. What was really interesting is that in class the other day, the same thing happened. Was this one lady, like, she just, oh, I'm not sure what, but I don't know her story, but she just broke down crying. And my thought was either she got so much trauma and then just it released, or the other thought is sometimes you get personality like histrionic, or it could be borderline, or these types of, but it's interesting that you brought that to light.
And she might not even know what it is. And it
Yeah.
could be, it's almost a bucket. So the hips are a good place to people store energy because they're big. It's a big
Oh,
energetic space.
wow.
And it could just be like drip, an accumulation of sad events over time. So
Mm.
she can't place it on one event. And then when the hip goes, it just all comes out all at once.
Oh,
Instead
wow.
of dealing with it as she went in small
Right.
little doses, it comes
Wow.
as a tidal wave.
Interesting. The other question I have is, how does one identify the areas where there's emotional trauma and how do they move it out of their body? How do they process it out?
So I find movement is amazing for processing it. And where
Mm,
to find it is going to be your problem spot. Everybody's got, oh, this is my problem spot. And
mm.
if you have more than one, don't panic. It's not all trauma. So sometimes people say, oh my God, I've got this. I must have trauma. Maybe it's not like this
Oh,
whole Freudian thing. Like it could just be a cigar is just a cigar,
yeah.
but it's worth that inner conversation to think about what is that thing? And the more you move from practicing yoga, now that I've been doing yoga 25 years myself, I know when something is just from overuse
Mhm.
or an old trauma, 'cause the body gets experiences over time. Some of them are just injuries that if you've fallen down, like I used to figure skaters, oh my goodness, their poor pelvises from crashing onto the ice. And but I also know that sometimes when that is caused, when it's hurting me, it's because of overwork. But sometimes it's because I'm like, oh, I feel that's not from that. There's a different vibration, different sensation to it.
Huh.
And for me, when I get anxiety, because I'm not perfect, I know where that shows up in my body from paying attention. So it's almost like having a conversation with your body. When you have something, you go, talk to it like it's a person. Like, hi, how are you? What are you doing here?
Mm,
It might not answer you right away, or you might just be daydreaming in the shower and it'll come to you like, oh, I get it. That's
mhm.
the shower is a great place because we're not trying to use our logical brain.
Yeah,
We let the other side of our brain work. And
yeah.
that's when revelations can happen. So try not to do too many at once. If you have more than one, just pick the one that bothers you the most and just start to think about it, not in a I have to fix this kind of energy, but in a curiosity. And you'll start to, and don't rush it. We're always in a rush in our world right now. It took a little while to get there. It's going to take a little while for you to develop a relationship. Pretend you're dating. You're
Mm,
not going to come straight to the wedding ring. You're going to say, "Hey, how you doing? What can I get to know about you?" Like at one point, I had a cyst on my kidney, and I didn't know why it was there. And I went to a craniosacral therapist actually, and he had a conversation with my kidney, and it was a childhood trauma that was hiding as a
hmm.
cyst in my kidney
Wow.
because my kidney was protecting it. My kidney was playing mother and protecting this little bubble of energy.
Wow.
So we had a conversation, and then we thanked for protecting it. And we said, you don't have to protect it anymore. And I don't have it anymore. But it was just and I was surprised by that.
Wow.
And I'd done a lot of stuff. Wow, that's so cool. So
Yeah.
sometimes finding someone to facilitate the conversation is helpful too if you don't even know how to begin.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing was what was really interesting is you brought up your friend and she kept on apologizing and you were saying that doesn't like apologizing or guilt and shame doesn't allow one to process the emotion. So what like when people are in this situation, what should they do to process it?
So
Like
a lot
what?
of people are embarrassed by showing emotion right now
Mm.
because we have this idea that you need to be strong, and I come from a British background, keep calm and carry on. And I always remember this movie, Pleasantville, where everything was perfect. And we live in this world where nobody's unhappy. I'm like, that's a load of bull. So if the people that you have with you, if something comes up and you're in a situation where you can't just express it,
Mhm.
You might have to step away from, maybe just step in the out of the room. When I was in corporate, I used to go into the bathroom, into the ladies' room because I'm like, there's no crying in corporate. But I needed a moment to myself to let it out.
Yeah.
Or there's no screaming in the bathroom either. So I would take my car out at lunch and go to a park and scream in the car when nobody was around. But it's like, and find there's going to be people in your life who won't try to shut it down. And if
Mhm.
you don't
Yeah.
have that, I mean, there's lots of professionals who, like therapists, that's what they do, right? They help you process emotions and help
Yeah.
you process the things that are stuck in you. But I always say better out than in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I was having a conversation with another guest yesterday, and he was saying that there's silent. We were just talking about like employees like quitting, and there's one like employee that just will go postal, and then there's another one that will just be like bottle it up, and until just one day they just like they're like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. They just walk away, and then. But yeah, very fascinating. If people wanted to contact you and follow you and learn more from you, how could they do that?
Easy. heatherstewart.coach. And it's got the links to all my socials. It's got the link to my podcast. And I'm actually in June launching into the Inspired Choices Network. So I'll be on live TV as well.
Yeah, excellent.
Super exciting.
Yeah. I always enjoy talking with practitioners and energy healers and coaches, and it was a great conversation for the audience, and thanks so much for coming on and keep up the great work.
Thank you. It's great chatting.